our first question comes from my good pal, Mark Dumont from Montreal Hockey Now. And Mark asks, first time, long time. My question is, Lane Hutson? I'll hang up and listen. Yes, Lane Hutson. Uh, Lane Hutson, if you hadn't been paying attention, is having a tremendous 2022-23 season. It started with Boston University, his incredible year, highest scoring freshman in decades, and really freshman defenseman rather, and Hobey Baker finalist, the guy that I thought should have been in the top 3 based on the season that he had. Tremendous player, top to bottom. I mean, just tremendous, and a Frozen Four appearance in his freshman season as well. Now he's playing at the Men's World Championship, and Team USA has given him a lot of responsibility. They have given him, basically top 4 minutes. He now is on the number 1 power play, running it from the top of the point. Coach David Quinn, who is a BU guy, so, I'm sure it wasn't a stretch for him to trust Lane Hutson, but he's allowed Lane Hutson to be who he is, which is a dynamic talent. He has 4 points, averaging over 16 minutes a game, and he hasn't looked out of place among NHL players. Yes, he's small. Yes, he's light. He's dynamic. And I've said it many times. I've never really seen a player like him. I just haven't. Especially, not a defenseman. He reminds me more of Johnny Gaudreau, but if Johnny Gaudreau played defense, and it's not just because he's smaller. It's just the hands. The hand skills are so elite. I can't even begin to express it. If you haven't seen it yet, go find the goal that he scored against Team Austria today. As I record this, I'm recording this on Wednesday, scored a remarkable goal. There were 4 defenders around him. He goes through, gets through them, and then pokes a puck through the goalie's legs. I mean, just a remarkable talent. He's got such tremendous presence on the puck. And so to answer your question, Lane Hutson, I think Lane Hutson, despite all of the doubts about him, is going to make it to the NHL. He's going to be an impact player in the NHL. And I don't think he's going to revolutionize the position, but he is going to change the way we think about defensemen. He's going to change the way we think about small defensemen as well. I think he's a bit of a unicorn. I don't think there are very many players like him, but I've been watching hockey for a while, and I just can't really tell you a defenseman that I've ever seen that plays like Lane Hutson, which brings us to our next question. And this comes from Dude. Hey, Dude. Timeline on Hutson to make the NHL is 24-25 season, or does he need a year or 2 in the AHL? It's a difficult question to answer because there is so much more physical development ahead of Lane Hutson. We've talked about the size. He has grown a little bit. I know that he's been listed at 5'10". I'm not 100% positive that I would lean on that actual measurement at this point. But what I would say about Lane Hutson is, in terms of his pro projection, I still think that there's more to be learned. I don't think there's any sense in rushing him to the NHL. I do think that his hockey sense, his puck skills, his skating ability, it's all there. It's all there. What I would like to see a little bit more is some more physical maturation, which I think only comes with time. I don't think that he's done growing. He's still very, I think he's a bit of a late bloomer in that regard. We've talked a lot about, the fact that he has brothers and his younger brother is very similar in stature. His older brother is 5'11", and he's got an even younger brother yet that's still on the smaller side too. So, it is what it is. Size is always going to be there, but I think that the dynamic elements are what makes Lane Hutson special and why I think he's got a real opportunity to be, an everyday NHLer, even though there isn't much precedent for the kind that he plays. There is a chance, I'd say like next year, he'll probably, he's going to BU next season. He's going to return to BU. He's going to have an opportunity to have a big season. They're going to have a great team. Macklin Celebrini is going to be there. Tom Wielander is going to be there. They're going to have a lot of good players around him, which will help. And I think, he'll contend for the Hobey Baker next year. I have a feeling that could be enough of proof to everybody that says, all right, it's time to sign with Montreal. Whether that means he'll spend time in Laval or go straight to the NHL, I think that's going to be determined later. It's very difficult to project him out because of the fact that there is so much physical development left ahead of him. So that it's a great question, but it's one that still is going to take time to answer. And then our last one comes from Knievel. And Knievel asks, do you feel like Lane Hutson has the tools to be dominant at the NHL level. And dominant is such a difficult, that is a very, it's not a specific term, but it's a big word, right? Like dominant. What does dominant mean? Does it mean that he'll be a 40 to 50 to 60 to 70 point defenseman? Does it mean he's a 100-point defenseman like Erik Karlsson was this year? I think it's very difficult to project that. There's no player I feel like that we can adequately compare to Lane Hutson. And that's why it's hard to project him out. I don't think that I think his hands are elite, for one. His hockey sense is extremely high end. His skating ability is quite good. His edge work is very good. His decision making, his confidence, all those things are good. But the physical elements are still there. The fact that he's not the biggest guy, the fact that, is this the kind of guy you're going to play 25 minutes a game? Probably not. He's probably going to be an 17 to 19, minute defenseman in the NHL. If he is able to prove that all of his skill and everything else, and we're getting more towards a positionless kind of hockey scenario, because he is almost like having a fourth forward on the ice, we'll have to see. I think as long as people let Lane Hutson be Lane Hutson, he's going to find a way. He's too special a player. I won't say that he's going to be a dominant player. I think he will be a unique, special player in the NHL. I do think he'll be an everyday player, and I do think he's going to find a way to make a significant impact on an NHL team, probably the Montreal Canadiens. I still think, I listed him as a first-round draft pick last year. I don't have to deal with all of the risk that comes with a player his size like an NHL team does. So it's a bit unfair to characterize me putting him first versus an NHL team putting him first. It's a multi-million-dollar decision for them. It's a name on a list for me. And, I would say that to me, he checks so many boxes except for height. And that's basically it. He is competitive. He is, he's got a good defensive stick. He tries to do his best in his own zone. He retrieves pucks well. He moves pucks out. And then he's got that ability, that dynamic offensive ability that just so few defensemen possess. Special player. I can't wait to watch him and can't wait to watch his career. He is one of my favorite players to watch and one of my favorite players that I've seen, at any point. All right.